إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم فإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. فبعد, the moment we are on the hadith 396 from the Adab al-Mufrad in chapter 180, in which we have discussed last time the importance that the person, he needs to rectify and make sure that he fixes the things and the disputes amongst the brothers. And we talked about as well what is permissible from the person to lie and not to say the truth. And the chapter before it we talked about the mercy towards the animals. So today we continue inshallah, and that is Bab La Yasluhu al-Kadhib, 180.
Page 74, chapter 180. Lying is not proper. Hadith 386. Abdullah said, the Prophet ﷺ said, "You must be truthful. Truthfulness leads to dutifulness, and dutifulness leads to the garden. A man continues to tell the truth until he is written as a siddiq, most truthful with Allah. Beware of lying. Lying leads to error, and the error leads to the fire. A man continues to lie until he is written as a liar with Allah."
Right, La Yasluhu al-Kadhib. After he had said the chapter, what is permissible from the lying, and we have said that the scholars are of two types. One category, they say that it is not allowed to lie, it's only those words who have double meanings. And the other scholar, they said, lying is allowed, and they don't really restrict it to the three that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, the war and the fixing situations, and also between the wife and the husband and the wife. But also it extends to anything which is beneficial. Like for example, we said as an example, if a tyrant leader is looking for somebody and that person had hid himself with you, then it is a must upon you not to tell them the truth about whereabout he is. So now the author, he says, the kadhib, the principle is the general principle, al-qa'ida al-kulliyah, that is, la yasluh al-kadhib. Kadhib is no good. That is, kadhib, lying, is no good. So we only say the kadhib when we are being pushed to it. We are in need of it. And then he gives us the hadith to show us that truthfulness all the time brings you to safety. So he says, alaykum bis-sidq, meaning hold on to the truth. Alaykum bis-sidq, hold on to the truth. فَإِنَّ الصِّدْقَ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْبِرِّ. Verily, truthfulness will guide to the albir. Albir, every righteous act. Here said albir means righteousness, but it's every righteous act. So every good thing is called albir. وَإِنَّ الْبِرَّ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. And very righteousness will lead you to paradise. وَإِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَا يَصْدُقُ حَتَّى يُكْتَبَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ صِدِّيقًا. And the man would strive and make sure that he is truthful until he will be written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a truthful person. Siddiq. Siddiq means a person who's all the time says the truth. And this is to show us as well that when you are Siddiq, then you end up dying upon being Siddiq. And you will be led to do a good act before you die. You'll have a good endings, because your good endings is going to result for you to go to paradise. And the person will die upon good act, and he will be resurrected upon a good act. So when you are righteous in everything, when you are truthful about what you say, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write you to be Siddiq. And إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْكَذِبِ, and be aware of lying, for verily lying will lead, he says here, error. Fujur is not error. Every single evil act is called fujur. So going away from the haqq is called fujur. وَالْفُجُورُ يَهْدِي إِلَى النَّارِ. And fujur would lead you to the hellfire. And verily the man will strive and make an effort to be a liar until he will be recorded with Allah, he's a liar. So this person makes the lie is to be his norm. So from his manners becomes lying, just like the other person, his truthfulness becomes his norm. So when it becomes the norm of this person is to lie, then this person, he has actually destroyed himself by as well having a bad and evil deed to die upon and to be resurrected upon, and then he will be led to the hellfire. And you don't want to be written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a liar. So, righteousness is from the characteristics of the believers, and lying is from the characteristics of the shayateen, the hypocrites, and the satans. And that is what the Prophet ﷺ, he told Abu Hurairah when he was guarding the dates in Ramadan, and he was guarding the charity of Zakat al-Fitr, and he said to him, verily, shaitan, he's a liar. Even that he said to you the truth once, which is when he told him about the Ayat al-Kursi, but his character is to be a liar. So be aware of lying. Avoid it as much as you can. For verily, this hadith tells us, number one, to seek the truthfulness all the time. Number two, to warn against the lying. Number three, not to make lies, with colors and simple, it's a white lie, black lie, purple lie. Lie is lie. And he who does so, whether he strives hard in the lying, he will be called a liar. If he strives hard to be truthful, then he will be a truthful person. 387.
387, Abdullah said, lying is not proper, neither in seriousness nor in jest. None of you should promise his child something and then not fulfill it to him.
Right. Abdullah here means Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Whenever Abdullah is mentioned, it means Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, lying is not to be fit for anything. Whether you are a person who is, you mean what you say, whether you are serious, or whether you are joking. Lying is not to be fit. It's not fit. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, when he used to jest with the companions, Abu Hurairah said, Messenger of Allah, إِنَّكَ لَتُدَاعِبُنَا, you are joking with us, you're jesting with us. He said, yes, I do that, but وَلَا أَقُولُ إِلَّا صِدْقًا, but I say only the truth. So the Prophet ﷺ, he told us to be truthful and to say that the lying is no good, and the lying is not from the character of the believer. لَا يَكُونُ الْمُؤْمِنُ كَذَّابًا. Is that even if you want to make a joke, you can't say, for example, a joke where you make up something about yourself, about somebody whom the people know, and then you say that this is what happened in order to make the people laugh. For the Prophet ﷺ said, woe to that person who fabricates the lie in order to make the people laugh. Woe to him, woe to him. So, we need to know that the person, he has to be truthful, even, he says, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and very well, remember Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he says this according to what he had learned from the Prophet ﷺ. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, when the Prophet ﷺ said, the Prophet said, if Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, the son of Ummi Abd, إِذَا حَدَّثَكُمْ إِبْنُ أُمِّ عَبْدٍ فَصَدِّقُوا, then believe him. He says, and then a person, he promises his child something and he does not fulfill it. Don't do that. You see, this is based upon as well on an authentic hadith from Abdullah ibn Amr radiallahu anhu. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to our house and I was a sabi, child. And I went out to go and play. My mother, she called me, come, Abdullah, come, so I could give you. So the Prophet ﷺ said to her, what are you going to give him? She said, a date, Messenger of Allah. So he said, verily, أَمَا إِنَّكِ لَوْ لَمْ تُعْطِهِ شَيْئًا كُتِبَتْ عَلَيْكِ كَذِبًا. Had it been that you did not want to intend to give him something, it would have been recorded against you as a lie. So this is a lie. Even, well, why did he mention the children here? Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And we know for a fact it's not for the children, it's for everybody. We have a narration in our book, which we have studied before, numbering 138, where Abdurrahman ibn Abza, he talked about this issue, and he said, verily, don't promise your friend something, and then you don't fulfill it, because it will make some enmity between both of you. So don't promise somebody. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, 3 are from the signs of the hypocrites. 3 from the signs of the hypocrites. One of them, إِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ. There are hadiths 4 from the signs of a hypocrite. If he promises, he breaks his promise. So if you promise somebody, even your wife, and this is not including the permissibility of lying against the wife. You said to you can't say to the wife, I promise you to bring you a car or something like a fridge or whatever, you don't bring it because it's a lie. The only lie is permissible for the husband and the wife is to do with making things easier in terms of loving her. Oh, you are the best woman I've ever seen, you've got the best smell your food is the best food, so on and so forth, but not to lie as promise something. So Abdurrahman ibn Abza had warned us again the giving a promise to anybody. So this is when Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he's mentioning the son, because usually it is the case that the father gives a blank check for themselves to lie and promise their children something. I could do whatever I like, it's my son. So he promises him something and he doesn't give it. And because as well that this is what happens all the time, and he will not be punished. His son is not going to say to the father, you promised me, because he's always scared. Whereas your friend, he'll tell you, didn't you promise me you're going to give me that? He did not give me. So Abdullah Mas'ud is saying about the son, it's not just because of the son. So you're not supposed to promise anybody and then you don't fulfill the promise. But he mentioned the son because it is the habit of the people that promise their children, their family something, they don't bring it because they know that they're going to get away with the punishment. Nobody's going to punish the father, of course. Nobody's going to punish him. Now we come to hadith or chapter 181.
Chapter 181, the person who is patient with people, injure him. 388, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the believer who mixes with people and puts up with insult from them is better than the person who does not mix with people and does not put up with hurt from them.
The first one is insult and the second one hurt. Yeah, say, well, المؤمن الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم. The person who is mixing up with the people, mixing mingling, and he is patient towards their harms, towards their, for example, insultation, being not just with him, and so on and so forth. So he's being patient. He's better than the person who does not mix up with the people, nor he does bear their harm. And this is in a general statement. It will show us that mixing is better than uzla, which is to go, not to mix, to be isolated, to isolate himself, to seclude yourself, seclusion. But we have, inshallah, more discussion regarding this issue. First of all, you need to know that the scholars have mentioned that the most, or the biggest type of patience is the patience regarding the harms of other people. So when you birth and you bear their sort of harm and so on and so forth, this is basically one of the greatest of all patience, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not impose those people to harm you except that you have some sins yourself. So those people harmed you because you yourself had sinned against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah azza wa jal wants to expiate your sins. So what you need to do to seek forgiveness from Allah azza wa jal for the sins, and never mix up with any people. Just mix up with the right people. Mixing up with the right people will be better. If you mix up with the wrong people, if your mixing is going to be on the expense of not mentioning Allah, remembering Allah, doing your ibadah, then this type of mixing is no good. You need to mix up with people who reminds you of Allah. Mix up with the people who makes it ibadah. So if it is the case, then mix it up is better than seclusion. So if the mixing up is going to take you out from the salah, the ibadah, that's not right mixing up. And as I said, we have a dispute among the scholars regarding which is better, seclusion or mixing up. But I would say that each one has its merits and has as well its faults, disadvantages and advantages. We say that verily, the person who thinks that mixing up with the people is going to be on the expense of the Sharia and secluding himself, going away from the people, will bring him better to the religion. We say seclusion be better, but not totally. So you have to be, as the Imam Shafi'i, he says, بين القبض والبسط, بين القبض والبسط. That is to retract from the people and between opening to the people. Because retracting from the people, Imam Shafi'i says, it will gain you enmity. People don't like it if you don't mix up. And if you're open to the people, it will get you those bad companions. So you have to be between that and this. And remember, the person who wants to seclude himself, he cannot keep away from the Jumu'ah or the Jama'ah. So to come to the Jumu'ah prayer, the congregational prayer, to come to the visiting the sick person, comes to the funeral prayer, all of that he has to fulfill because there are obligations from the Muslim towards another Muslim. So seclusion, it doesn't mean that you stay at home 24 hours. Seclusion means I don't really want to, and I come from the masjid, going back to the masjid. That's what it means, that's a seclusion. But not the seclusion is that I don't speak to anybody. No, it doesn't mean that. So when the ulama had said al-uzla has got 4 letters, ayn, wa zay, and lam, wa ta. That they said the uzla without the knowledge starts with ayn, ilm, بغير عين العلم. So if you take the ayn from the word uzla, it becomes zalla. Zalla means a mistake. So if you don't have knowledge, so this person who secluded himself without knowledge is going to end up like Ghulam Mirza. He ended up making himself what? A prophet. Yeah? If you have no knowledge, you're going to end up like those people, Sufi. They come out with this, I've got in communication with God. So if you don't have the knowledge when you have the seclusion, you're going to end up, going on the wrong path. So you have to have the knowledge. So seclusion has never been for those who are illiterate, or those who are they are ignorant. And if you take the zay of the zuhd means asceticism, zuhd. If you take the asceticism word zuhd, the zay from the word uzla, it becomes illah. Illah means disease. So you have to have ilm and zuhd when you have seclusion. Otherwise, either becomes mistake, ignorance, or it becomes marad. It becomes, can't a person have a seclusion with no asceticism, he just stays, involving himself into the luxury and so on and so forth. It's not really a uzla to go and watch TV 24 hours. It's not a uzla. So we say that as a conclusion, the whole matter is that the person depends upon how his situation, whether it is good to mix up more or to seclude himself more. And it depends upon, as I said, which is beneficial to him in the hereafter. Okay? Which is beneficial to him in the hereafter. Now coming to chapter 182, hadith 389.
Chapter 182, Enduring Injury, 389. Abu Musa radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said,
is it harm is better?
Enduring harm.
Harm, yes.
Abu Musa radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no being is more patient in enduring an insult that he hears than Allah the Mighty and Exalted. They claim that he has a son, yet he cures them and provides for them.
Insult, harm towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course you're not going to be harm as in Allah is going to be affected with your harm. As in harm as in which is we say that the harm that Allah Azza wa Jal, He hears the things that He doesn't want to hear. He doesn't like to hear. He had given you this life, He's given you this blessings of seeing and eating and drinking and listening and all of that. And yet He told you that He is the only God and no one is with Him as a partner. He has got no wife, He's got no children. Yet we find people attributing children and wife to the Prophet, to Allah the Almighty. And on top of that, Allah Azza wa Jal provides them and He gives them. So here the hadith starts with saying, "Laysa ahadun aw laysa shay'un." There is nobody or there is nothing. Can we say there is nobody or there is nothing? Is it from the characteristics of Allah? Is it something He is? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Surah Al-An'am, قُلْ أَيُّ شَيْءٍ أَكْبَرُ شَهَادَةً. Say to them, what is a bigger thing than Allah? So the thing here, in terms of the word thing, it means who is more of a God bigger than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There can't be a God beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here thing, it doesn't mean thing as in, inanimates or something which is lifeless, which is something to do with how we understand the word. قُلْ أَيُّ شَيْءٍ أَكْبَرُ شَهَادَةً. Who is a person bigger than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is forbearing, halim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is very patient. That those kuffar, they attribute to Him a son, attribute to Him a wife, yet they say that Allah Azza wa Jal gives them the life to eat and so on and so forth. In this hadith we have a number of issues. Number one is the patience, one of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's patient and He would like you to be patient, and also to abandon vengeance is something which is praiseworthy. So to abandon the vengeance is praiseworthy, and also that shows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala generosity towards His enemies. The generosity of Allah the Almighty towards His enemies. So if it is the case that He's generous towards His enemies, how about He's going to be towards His chosen worshippers? If He's generous towards His enemies, how about He is towards His what? His righteous worshippers. Right. Also that is an encouragement for us to bear the harm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bears up on us. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will recompense those people who are patient. 390 in the same chapter.
390, Abdullah radiallahu anhu said,
And it's Abdullah ibn Mas'ud again.
the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam shared out something among people as he usually did, and a man of the Ansar said, by Allah, this is a sharing out in which the pleasure of Allah, the Mighty and Exalted, is not sought. I said, I will tell the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I went to him while he was with his companions, and I spoke to him in confidence. It clearly affected him greatly, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his face changed color, and he became angry, so that I wished that I had not told him. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Prophet Musa alayhi salam was injured with greater than that,
Injured.
was harmed with greater than that, and he endured it.
Right, okay. This is a hadith as well narrated by Bukhari himself in his Sahih of Bukhari, and also Sahih Muslim narrated in his Sahih. And this hadith that tells us, well, first of all, in Muslim's narration there is more interpretation, that the Prophet ﷺ, on the day of Hunayn, the battle which took place straight after the repossession of Mecca, the people of the Kuffar brought all their stuff with them. They got all of the, for example, the animal and all of their money and wealth. They brought that for the sake of that the soldiers will be more courageous in fighting. They will not let go, and they will not leave their women behind them. They will not leave their cattle and so on and so forth. But it wasn't the case. So they left a big war booty to the Muslims. So the Prophet ﷺ, with this war booty, he had, by the way, waited for the kuffar to come back and get it and to surrender, but they did not. When he started dividing this war booty, he gave to some of those Arabs who are yet to just embrace Islam. So it's about 3-4 months embrace Islam after the repossession of Mecca. So we have, for example, Aqra' ibn Habis, and we have, for example, Uyayna, and all of these are head of tribes and known to be, and others as well. He had specified them with more booty than the others, than the companions who had maybe fought more in the Battle of Hunayn, than those who were the ones who were with the Prophet of Allah more than the others. So the Prophet ﷺ, he had told the companions, I have done this, ata'allafu. Ata'allafu means I want to get them closer to me, closer to Islam, because they are just recently left kufr. So this, it's not a bribe basically, but as I said a number of times, this is the money they could, these people are just basically left Islam, and they're going to leave all this luxury that used to live in, they're going to leave all of that behind. So this is from, like to say to them that you are secured financially. So he gave them a lot of booty. One of the Ansar, and most of the narration they don't say one of the Ansar, but he says here one of the Ansar, and one of them says one of the men, he said, Wallahi, by Allah, إنها لقسمة ما أريد بها وجه الله عز وجل. It is such a giving that Allah's pleasure was not sought. Such a giving, that means when he gave those people, Allah's pleasure was not sought. Now this is a big crime. Not just a big crime as you have accused someone or a normal person. It's just because it's a namima or a ghiba or a backbiting. No. You've accused not just the head of the state, but the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the ambassador of religion. So you're saying against the Prophet of Allah that he's not just. So who is going to be just? So you're accusing the religion. You're accusing the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. So definitely this man, as the scholars had said, he is a hypocrite. Meaning, hypocrite that he shows that he's a Muslim from outside, but inside he's not a Muslim. So he said definitely the pleasure of Allah is not sought through this division. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he took that straight away. And by the way, let me tell you, that person is not Hurqus ibn Suhaib. It is not the one who is the leader of the Khawarij later on. Okay, it's not the one who is going to be, the first Khawarij, Umar al-Khattab or Khalid, he said, let me decapitate his head. He's a different person. So he said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and he did not tell him, but he said, verily, I am going to tell the Prophet ﷺ about this person. Now, you see, this shows us, because Abdullah, when he narrates and conveys these words of the Prophet of Allah, it has like a sense of, it looks like a book backbiting, or slandering, or carrying words from one person to another. But this is a very critical split between what is halal and what is haram. And if the person doesn't understand that, he will fall into haram. So basically, if you don't understand it, don't convey the words. Those words, first of all, as I said, is to warn the head of the state, the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about a man who is showing that he is a Muslim, but yet his inside is not a Muslim. To warn that. So if you've seen that, there's a maslahah to tell a leader or a person, like an imam, that somebody in the prayer, that he is, saying this about you, that you're warning him. Brothers, can you move forward, please? Come forward. I don't like people to sit back at the back. Can you sit forward, please? It will stick, yes. Don't leave a space. You'll be vulnerable for the shaitan. And I want you to be hooked to now. So if we find that this person is carrying the news with truthfulness, number one, and number two, he wants to warn the brother against such a person, and his intention from inside is not to make an enmity. Basically, he is trying to help, because he's warning him, because if somebody's plotting against me and I don't know it, it's incumbent upon you to tell me if you knew about that. So the Prophet ﷺ was told by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was not told off by the Prophet of Allah. He didn't say to him, why did he convey me the words? Why are you acting like a spy? He didn't say that to him. He took those words on board and accepted them. This is showed. As I said, you have to make sure that you can really make the difference between the namima and conveying for the maslahah, the truthfulness. And then he said, and he was really enraged so much, and his face was changed. In some of the narration he said his face became like red, his face, and so the Prophet's companions, they knew straight away that he was upset so much. And even that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, verily I hope that I did not tell the Prophet ﷺ, we did not convey these words. And he said, لا جرم أني لا أرفع له قولا بعد ذلك. This is why I don't really tell him anymore about anything that happens, unless there's a maslahah. So unless there's a maslahah, I'm not going to tell him, because he saw that the Prophet ﷺ is so annoyed and upset. It made him sort of grieved for that, and he was sad. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he said the words which we conveying here, that رحم الله موسى وقد أوذي موسى بأكثر من ذلك فصبر. Verily Musa alayhi salam was harmed by more than that, and yet he had bore that, and he patiently, فصبر, he was patient. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying that I should be patient as well. I'm a prophet. And Musa alayhi salam is indicating to the ayah in Surah Al-Ahzab, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ آذَوْا مُوسَى فَبَرَّأَهُ اللَّهُ مِمَّا قَالُوا. O you who believe, don't be like those people who had harmed Musa alayhi salam. Then Allah had exonerated Musa, showed that he was not what they have said about. In Sahih Imam Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ said the people of Banu Israel used to wash together nakedly. There was no sort of clothes on top of it. Except for Musa alayhi salam, used to wash himself and bathe himself on his own. And without the Bani Israel. So the Bani Israel started making a rumor that he's not washing himself because he's got an infected testicle. His testicle is not normal, and that's why he's not showing himself. So they're bullying Musa alayhi salam. So the Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he was having the bath and he wanted to put his clothes on, he says that the stone took the clothes away. And he was following it until he went to the Banu Israel, who were bathing themselves on the other side, and they saw Musa alayhi salam that he's got nothing wrong with his testicles. So don't be like you believers, don't be like those Banu Israel who had harmed Musa alayhi salam. And Musa alayhi salam, as I said, was patient. Here in this hadith, we find that it is permissible for those who are in leadership and those who are righteous to be told about certain peoples who are plotting against them, so that they could be warned. So this is number one. Number two, it shows us what is permissible from the ghiba and what is permissible from the namima, because both of them are, as I said, in the words of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And also that we can gain from this that you are allowed to spy on the kuffar, because this person, he had done us a great sin. He is showing that he's a hypocrite. So spying on the kuffar, so that we could gain, protection against their plot, is, alhamdulillah, is good. So this person, when he said what he said regarding the Prophet of Allah, that he had done something that Muhammad ﷺ, that he did not seek the pleasure of Allah, he done something which is great. And he had made it lawful for Abdullah ibn Mas'ud to carry his words to the Prophet of Allah, and it is like a type of spying. And it shows us as well another benefit, that the people of righteousness, like the Prophet ﷺ, the most righteous, sometimes they could be enraged and made to be angry. So he made angry. The Prophet ﷺ got angry as well, because it's been said against him what they are not deserve of. That he was, said about the Prophet ﷺ that he did something which is unjust. And he said to him, Wayhak, the narration, Wayhak, who's going to be just if Allah and His Messenger will not be just? Because if you accuse the Prophet of Allah is not just, that means you're accusing Allah is not just by sending the Prophet ﷺ as a prophet. Also, it shows us that Musa's alayhi salam's excellence. It shows us as well, the Prophet ﷺ got that patient. He was patient when he heard his words. And this shows us the excellence of patience and not to act straight away against the harm. And also it shows us the permissibility of mentioning people who are dead already with their righteousness. Because Musa alayhi salam was dead. And the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned him, and mentioned his good qualities about his patience. And in it as well we find the humbleness of the Prophet ﷺ, and how he used to take the burden and bear the sort of harm from the people. Allahu Ta'ala A'lam. Coming to chapter 183.
Chapter 183, promoting unity among people. Hadith 391. Abu Darda radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, shall I tell you a degree better than prayer, fasting and sadaqah? They said, yes. He went on, promoting unity among people. Discord where there had been unity wears things away.
Okay, it's a translation of the meaning, but let's translate it literally. He said, shall I inform you with a better deed than the salah, and the siyam, and the sadaqah? That a deed will give you a better edge and a rank on top of the salah, siyam, and sadaqah. It's the best messenger of all. He said, salah dhatul bayn. That is good relationship between the people. No disputes. وَفَسَادُ dhatul bayn, if you have a dispute among the people, then هي الحالقة. Haliqa means the shaver. And shaver here means the remover. So in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ tells us how he used to, tell and convey and teach the companions in a style that would attract them. أَلَا أُنَبِّئُكُمْ أَلَا أُخْبِرُكُمْ. Shall I inform you? Shall I tell you? Companions will be dragged and attracted to that sort of style. أَلَا أُنَبِّئُكُمْ. Shall I inform you? Shall I? And then the companions say, of course, Messenger, tell us, what is it? So the Prophet ﷺ is telling them now something which is better than the second pillar, which is the prayer, and zakah, sadaqah, siyam, fasting. So that means here, the sadaqah, it has to be the voluntary. And the salah, it has to be the voluntary, and the siyam has to be the voluntary, because the obligatory is the best of acts that you could really get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with. But some of the scholars, they said even the obligatory is included. But we say here, it is very important. What he said, what is that? It's salah dhatul bayn, because the prayer and the zakah and the sadaqah is all of it, not just the ibadah to worship Allah with, but also to set the way of people dealing with other people. So it teaches the people how to deal with other people. So what is the point of a person who prays and zakah and sadaqah and all the time punches the people and dispute with the people, insults the people, harms the people? Al-Muslimu man salima al-Muslimuna min yadihi wa lisanihi. Man salima, that's only that the Muslim, the proper Muslim, is the one whom the people are saved against his tongue and against his hand. That's the Muslim. But a Muslim is just all the time harms the people, insults the people, punches the people, he's not a proper Muslim. So all this ibadah was made to make the Muslim in the core of being a person who is a social, person who's harmless, a person who is very helpful. That's what it is. So he said, Salahu Dhat al-Bayn. Al-Dhat al-Bayn, the scholars are different with the meaning of it. But the most correct meaning, because some of them they said, Bayn means that the dispute. Bayn he said, Al-Hajar, boycotting. Bayn he said, no, the love. Well, whether it is so that, in the meaning of it, it means that when you have good relationships between the brothers, good links between the brothers, then this is how the Muslim society will prosper. And verily, if you have bad relations and people start and embark upon severing the relationship between the brothers, the love between the brothers, this is the razor. It will raise the religion. That means it will remove the salat, remove the sadaqah, remove the siyam. It is the razor. Here al-haliqa. And the haliqa, it will uproot from the haliqa. It's not just haliqa. And the Prophet ﷺ, he had said in another hadith, دَبَّ إِلَيْكُمْ دَاءُ الْأُمَمِ قَبْلَكُمْ, that the disease of the nations before you had gone and crept into this ummah, the ummah of Muhammad ﷺ. He said, Al-Hasad wal-Baghdha. Al-Hasad wal-Baghdha, the envy and the hatred and the grudge. And the envy and the grudge, both of them, they lead to separating the ties between the brothers. The envy and the grudge. قال الحسد والبغضاء هي الحالقة. It is the shaver. I don't say it shaves the hair. Don't say it shaves the hair, but it shaves the religion. So it does not shave off the hair, it shaves off the religion. It will remove the prayer, the hasad والبغضاء. The hasad, why you have hasad? Because you have hatred in the heart towards the brother. That's why you have a hasad. You don't like the brother to have a nice clothes, nice, exam results or nice, mount or a nice. You don't like that. You just have hasad in your heart towards him. You don't like it. So you hope that thing that he's got to burn or to crash because you have this hatred. So this hatred is to do with that you have something wrong. And that's why all the time we say the person will not gain the proper belief until he loves to his brother what he loves for himself from the good. Al-mu'minu ya'laf wa yu'laf. وَلَا خَيْرَ فِي مَنْ لَا يَأْلَفْ وَلَا يُؤْلَفْ. The believer is the one who is socially, and people socialize with him. And there is no good in the person who does not socialize, or people cannot socialize with him. The mu'min is the one who is يَحُوطُهُ مِنْ وَرَائِهِ وَيَحْفَظُ عَلَيْهِ ضَيْعَاتَهِ. The mu'min is the one who looks after the mu'min, the believer. And he will protect him in his absence. Protect him in his absence protects his property and protects his reputation. Does not backbite him. This is the mu'min with the mu'min. In this hadith we have the incitement or the encouragement of rectifying the disputes amongst the brothers, and also to keep away from severing the ties between the brothers, for verily rectifying is actually holding to the rope of Allah, and the other one, it is actually splitting the word of the Muslims, which would result as well into the splitting of the religion. Now, we have as well in the hadith 260, where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْبُغْضَةِ, be aware from grudge, for very it is the haliqa, it is the shaver. I don't say to you that it shaves the hair, but it shaves the religion. 392.
392, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma said about the verse which translates,
اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَأَصْلِحُوا ذَاتَ بَيْنِكُمْ.
Fear Allah and put things right between you. This is an injunction from Allah to the believers to fear Allah and to sort out relations between themselves.
Injunction means restriction. Allah restricts you. That the people of the believers that have to fear Allah and rectify what is in between them. So, O people, fear Allah in your matters, fix what is in between you, don't have any disputes, don't hate one another, don't deal with one another unjustly, don't quarrel with each other. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given you from the guidance and the knowledge, so you should not be disputing with it, or for it, or because of it. So this is what means the believer, he has no way except that to fear Allah and always brings the ties to his brothers to be the best. 393 is to be unauthentic, 394 is to be unauthentic. Coming on to the following chapter, 186 and his hadith 395.
Chapter 186, attacking lineage. Hadith 395, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, there are two courses that my community will not abandon: lamenting the dead and attacking a person's lineage.
Attacking the person's lineage here means defaming the person's lineage. That means accusing him is not what he is, claims to be the son of son. And here, from this hadith is from the Prophet ﷺ, prophethood fulfillment, because nobody can say that except he is a prophet, speaking from divine. Because this is, until today, we have this in our ummah, which is lamenting, which means wailing. Wailing, the wailing is a screaming. This is what means wailing. And also screaming sometimes to mention the good characteristics and good qualities in the person who died. So they shout, oh yes, this person was so such and rich, and was a person who was pious, and such person, he was generous, and and then they will wail. So wailing and also screaming with his good qualities. And the second one, which is that disputing your lineage, at-ta'nu fil ansab. And a nasab, and there's the word hasab, hasab and nasab. And nasab is to do with the fathers and the mothers. Usually it's the fathers, the insultation, go to the lineage. And al-hasab, it means the characteristics that the tribe had gained and the fathers had gained from the carriagefulness and from being generous and so on and so forth. This is called the hasab. So the at-ta'nu fil ahsab, because there is another hadith where it is at-ta'nu fil ahsab and at-ta'nu fil ansab. So when you are speaking ill and insulting and defaming the lineage, you are actually saying that this person, he is not what he is. He is a person that he is coming from, for example, fornication. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, even another hadith, أَرْبَعٌ فِي أُمَّتِي مِنَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. 4 things in my ummah, they are from the jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah means paganism or pre-Islamic days. Number 1, and he said, لَنْ يَدَعَهُنَّ النَّاسِ. People will not leave them. They will not abandon them. Number 1, النِّيَحَةِ. Wailing. Wailing, which is mentioned in this hadith. Second one, which is the second one, الطعن في الأحساب. That to speak ill about the characteristics and good qualities of those people. And also to speak ill against their fathers. And to insult their lineage. And wal-adwa. Al-adwa means the infection. Infection here, that the people say that something will infect something according to the jahiliyyah. Yes, we have infection. If a person was ill, go to somebody who was not ill, he will catch from him the flu. But they will not catch the flu except from what? The permission of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because you could have 2 people visiting somebody who has got the flu. One will take the flu, another one will not take the flu. And both of them went inside. So it's because of the will of Allah, so that person has got has permission from Allah that this one will carry the flu, but the other one will not. True or not? So the Arabs, they thought, no, the infection itself is actually a god of itself. And that is why when the man came to the Prophet, he said, when we put one camel has got scabies, skin disease, amongst camels got no scabies, all of them will carry the scabies. So the Prophet said, who did give the infection to the first one? So he is affirming what the man had said, that the infection will be taking place. But he's dragging or making it is dragging his attention to something that he should. Who had given the infection to the first one? Who has given the infection to the others? You have to attribute everything to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when Allah created the evil, and when He created the infection, He is not evil by His creation to the evil. He's created the evil for what? For hikmah, for wisdom. وَالشَّرُّ لَيْسَ إِلَيْكَ. We don't attribute evil to Allah. But Allah had created the evil. You can't say that Allah creates only the good things and there is another God who creates the bad things. God for the light and God for the dark. This is what the Buddhists and Hindus believe. We don't believe that. Allah is the creator of everything. But when He creates the evil, He is not evil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates it for a hikmah. And as I said, a simple thing, that when a dentist comes out of his house and he says, oh Allah rizq, he means, oh Allah rot the teeth of the people. That's what it means. The more people's teeth are rotten, the more money this dentist will make. And if you don't have a rotten teeth, he will bankrupt. He will go something else. So if when he says rizq, oh Allah, that means, oh Allah, I want more bad teeth. Okay? More bad teeth. So bad teeth for you is evil, but for the dentist is what? Money making. And that's how it is. The third one, the believing in the stars. That we have been rained because of such and such star. We have been rained because of such and such Okay, start. This is another thing that the Muslims will not believe, will not leave, sorry, abandon. Now, coming to Hadith 396, it is unauthentic. And then we stop at 397. We stop at it, 397. We're not going to finish because it's a long hadith. Okay? Right. Leave you shall the questions and answers. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Father, uncle. You have any question, uncle?
I'm trying to sort out in my own mind how to differentiate when to tell somebody about someone who has done something, who is doing something, and when not to tell.
Right, very good. As I said, if the person doesn't understand the difference, you should not really convey. But definitely, if the person thinks, if I don't convey what that person said against that person, it will harm that person. He will be harmed. If I'm not going to tell him to take precautions, then I should tell him. Because this is, it becomes a compulsory upon me. There's a harm going to take place. So you tell that person that such and such person is plotting against you. He's going to do something to you. So I am actually helping my brother not to be harmed. Or this person, for example, he is digging underneath him. So he is conveying things about him, and he is coming with double face. So in front of that person, he's always, this is always happening with people who are in position like imams and fathers, or for example, the people who are teachers, the people who are khalifas. Happens with them. This person comes with a face to him, mashallah, nice, and he likes him, but as soon as he leaves, he carries his dagger and he starts stabbing the back of that person. And everywhere he goes, he just speaks ill about that person. I should warn against that person. The double face is major sin he's doing, very major sin. And verily, what he does in 1 hour, the magician and sorcerer can't do in 1 year. As the scholar said. You know, the sorcerer and the magician is a kafir. Can't do in 1 year what this double-faced man can do in 1 hour. 1 hour. He would bring harm. You know, the magician, he needs a lot of things. He needs to bring maybe a rat and slaughter it and take the blood and put it in a will, and you know, and then after that, it'll take a long time to do that, and it takes some of the private things of that man to put magic onto him so that he can't, for example, speak to his wife. Put this person in 1 hour or less than that. He comes with double face, with this face or that face. He is good to that person, he's very trusted and brotherly trusted to that person. He conveys words which are not true, and he will damage what the magician can't do, except spending so much time and much effort. So that's why it is very dangerous, those people should be warned against. But if you think that this, because you have some dispute with that brother, and whatever he had said could be interpreted in 2 ways, but because of that dispute in your heart triggers you to speak ill against him, then that's ghiba, if you understand me, uncle. Because you have already something against that man to do with dunya-wise, not with religion-wise, and you always, because of that, it pushes you to interpret his actions and his words on the wrong all the time. And that is why you will be happy if somebody spoke ill about him, and you'll be happy to convey something which will harm him. And this is ghiba. This is not actually helping. Now, Father Yaqub.
I was also thinking about the hadith. If what you're going to say is going to do more harm than good, then it's better not to say.
This is not a hadith, a principle, uncle. This is a principle which is well known, which we call it دفع المفسدة أولى من جلب المصلحة. And if you are enjoining good and forbidding evil, if you are enjoining good and forbidding evil, that would result into more evil than the evil you're trying to submit or to stop or to prevent, then what you are doing is evil itself. So if you're preventing an evil would result more than the evil that you're trying to stop, then what you're doing is evil. I'll give you an example. If, for example, you're trying to stop the evil of, let's say, a tyrant leader. Now, you're stopping the tyrant leader's evil by going outside and making chaos and making demonstrations and making riots that would result into killing other people. That's more evil than the evil you're trying to prevent. So what you're doing is evil. That's what it is. And I said a good example is to demonstrate what is happening in the current era at the moment. What the people are doing. They don't know what they're doing. They're causing a lot of chaos and killing and stay unstabilizing the countries. Waliyadu. Now, the principle says if you want to enjoy good or forbid evil, if the evil that you prevent, you prevent it, it's going to result into more evil, then what you are doing is more evil than the evil that you're trying to prevent. Now, follow. Hold on.
How do you understand the wasila in the ayahs of Allah? How do you understand? Because some people say you need like a saint or something.
The kuffar, what are you trying to say? What is the difference between what?
How do we understand the wasila
The wasila to Allah, to be to the people.
Yeah.
To take into the wasila to the people and approaching the people, which is type of shirk. Is that what you're trying to ask? Okay. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, the person, when he takes a wasila to somebody who himself is in need of wasila. You are a person who is in need of wasila to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if those people are in need of wasila, you take into them a wasila, then you are taking a creature who is a wasila to a creature who is not supposed to have that sort of rank. And this rank is only to Allah the Almighty. And the kuffar of Quraysh, they used to do that. They used to make themselves closer to their awliya by taking a wasila whom these people in themselves, the awliya, are in need of the wasila to Allah the Almighty. That's what it means. Now, follow. You forgot the question.
I got it.
Go ahead, question. Go ahead.
Do we have to see after accepting it, like the person who is giving you, is he earning from halal or haram risk?
Do I need to know that if the person had given me this gift is from halal or haram? Do I need to know? Is the question, do I need to know?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm given the gift from someone, which is, I can't really, say that he's coming from haram, I don't have to ask. But if the person is being given to me, let's say a present from a criminal which is known to be a thief, okay, definitely my certainty will come that this person is giving me as a nicked thing, something which is stolen. Then I would investigate. But if it is generally somebody is giving you a gift, and the gift is not linked to, let's say, a festival or an Eid from the kuffar, or for example, linked to something which is haram, then I will take that gift and I will accept it for the sake of that bringing love to the person, between me and that person, some more sort of, ties, and it will bring me more to him to give him dawah. But as I said, if it's linked, like for example, to a particular event like Valentine, or for example, Christmas, then I can't accept the gift here, except the conditions. The condition is that if he's a neighbor of yours, and I said that a number of times, and this gift is not linked to their festival, meaning like it's not candles, like Valentine's, it's not turkey, it's not Christmas tree, but like they give you a laptop. Let's say, I don't think you're going to give you a laptop, but let's say. I mean, I would say, take the laptop and I said, thank you very much for this laptop. But you know that we have to explain to you that we don't accept gifts even in our, bid'ah festivals, like celebration of the Prophet Muhammad's birthday. So what we believe regarding this event is not to be an event which it is true that is to honor Isa alayhi salam, because we honor Isa alayhi salam. So if you give that a certain doubt and you accept that from him, it will be better than chucking that in his face and saying, I don't accept it, is bid'ah dalala, and then you will never, you're closing the gates between you and him. You understand me? But if it is to do with the food or candles, you can't. Or red flowers or rose for the Valentine, I can't accept that. And eggs and, or Easter, I can't accept that. So I have to repent in that. But those, you're not going to accept them. Thank you very much. Accept your gift, thank you very much, yeah.
Is that true? When you know visit someone 5 times before taking his soul? My brother told me that.
The medical mod is what?
He visits before taking someone's soul. He visits him. He sees him 5 times.
He would see him?
5 times before taking his soul in a different location.
Where did you get that from?
I don't know. I wasn't too sure. That's
I'm not sure as well. I don't think so. Sees him 5 times. He was not mixed up. Maybe the angel That he writes the evil deeds, he waits for 6 hours before he writes it. Angel of death,
Yeah.
it's only for the prophets. He comes to the prophets and asks them if they want to die or not, but not to the human being when his time is set. But to come to see him 5 times, why won't he locate his GPS position? I don't think so, no.
About the mixing the threat and seclusion, is that just on an individual basis, can that be generalized, that Muslims living in a wider...
Any area, yeah, can be generalized. Yes, can be generalized. In any position, if you think seclusion is better, then you do it, even in a Muslim community. All right, even in a Muslim community. Allah.
Is there any hadith where the Prophet
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
to hold on to the book of Allah and my family?
Yeah, there's a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Alaykum kitabillah wa itrati," my family. Itrati, my family, means as well, not just the Prophet ﷺ's special family, but all those people who follow the Prophet of Allah comes into the word itrati. And you will find a big discussion, a good one, in the Silsila Sahih of Shaykh al-Albani. I think it's the 4th volume of the Shaykh, and in it there is a discussion regarding this. So I'll just quickly here, I'll tell you which volume it is. And the discussion there it says that it means all the followers, we are from the Itrah of the Prophet of Allah. Are you being discussion with Shia or something? Hmm? Yes. Right. Okay. Just have a second, actually. Right. This is Hadith, as I said, the 4th volume, 1750. 1750. The Shaykh here discusses it. And more as well in 1761. 1761. Still the 4th volume.
So it's a question and a suggestion may be attached with it. Like about hadith, and weak hadith has different types. Some we can use in certain situations in terms of encouraging, and some we completely reject. Is it possible to give us a classification of these types of hadith, or if not possible, make a short course on it? Do you think it will be?
Not really to give a special course, because it had to be a special course in Arabic language before I do anything to do with the usuls and hadith. But the hadith in general, with the Prophet ﷺ, is divided into 2 categories, sahih and daif. And the sahih as well is into categories, sahih hasan, but it's still sahih. And the categories of the daif goes from the daif until it goes to the fabricated. Now, the scholars are of 2 types, or 2 categories, or 2 opinions regarding the unauthentic, the daif. One, he says, you don't have to know the daif, because there is enough in the sahih, the authentic, to learn and worship Allah, and we don't need to have the daif. And the other scholar, he said, yes, we can use the daif, but with specific conditions. Condition number 1, it cannot be very daif. That means in the chain of the narration, you cannot have a liar in it, but somebody who forgot, for example, like Ibn Lahiya, that he forgot. Then we would say ضعف منجبر. That means if he wrote from another narration, it could go stronger to be authentic. But if you have a liar in it, you can't use that. Number 2, can't use it to set a principle in religion. So you can't, for example, use it to establish the fact of prayer. But you could use it for, like you said, faza'il. Faza'il. It's fada'il, by the way, it's not faza'il. Use it in the fada'il al-a'mal, meaning not to use it into the merits of deeds, merits of ibadah. So what are the excellence of salah, the excellence of zakah, the excellence, you could use it, but not to establish the fact that salah is obligatory, or zakah is obligatory. And the third condition is that the person, when he says, he can't say qala Rasulullah, and if it's unauthentic, he can't say the Prophet ﷺ said. You cannot use the word said, because he said, that means he said it. You could say, as the scholars of hadith, they say, qila, ruwiya, it was being said, or not the Prophet said. The fourth condition set by our Shaykh al-Albani, which is that is, if you talk to normal people who are not learned, you have to say that this hadith is da'if, unauthentic. You have to clarify it's da'if. So there's three conditions from the scholars, and the fourth one added from our Shaykh al-Albani, and he is the Amir al-Mu'mineen in this era of the hadith. Now,
Allah created angels who carry the throne, and they said, why you created us? He said, who carry the throne? You go, how can we do that? And they said, that how we will do that, and they carry it.
where did you find this hadith? Okay, not everything in Ibn al-Qayyim's book is to be authentic, you know that. But I have to check it, inshallah. I don't have it. Now I need to conclude our topic, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.